مثل الوطن يابا هو في مثله أموتنا في دالة ترابه هو في مثله هو في مثل الوطن يابا هو في مثله أموتنا في دالة ترابه هو في مثله لف الأرض وشرقي وغربي وقتل عنه والله الغربة لف الأرض وشرقي وغربي قتل عنه والله الغربة هو في مثل الوطن يابا 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 هو في مثله أموتنا في دالة رابا هو في مثله هو في مثله يعطونا الأرض
Assalamu alaikum again, everyone. How are we all doing? Yeah, good? Amazing, amazing. Loving the energy. Hope you guys are enjoying all our lovely stalls that we have around. Just a couple of quick announcements. We're going to start off the show quite soon. So,
can everyone just please take your seats? I know we have a lot of people touring around the hall, so please start making your way to the front of the hall and take your seats. Please try to fill up the red seats. So please try to come to the front, don't sit at the back, and try to fill them up as much as possible. And get ready for the program to officially start. So saying it again, please come and take your seats.
All right, guys, if you're having food, hope you're enjoying it, but we are asking people to come to the front. So everyone, you know, pack up whatever you're eating and stuff. Come to the front, thank you. And yeah, we'll be starting the program quite soon. So inshallah, you know, if everyone can take their seats, don't be shy, come near the front, and we'll get started as soon as everyone looks ready. How does that sound? Yes, energy, love it.
And most importantly, enjoy the show.
يا أرض الكل كعطا وخير جوك بحرك برك سهلك أهلك أهل الوفا والخير صباح الخير ومساء الخير يا أرض الكل كعطا وخير جوك بحرك برك سهلك أهلك أهل الوفا والخير اللي في الأرض وشرقي وغربي وقتل عنه والله الغربة هو في مثل الوطن يابا 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 هو في مثل الوطن يابا هو في مثله أموتنا في دالة رابا هو في مثله لف الأرض وشرقي وغربي وقتل عنه والله الغربة اللي في الأرض وشرقي وغربي وقتل عنه والله الغربة هو في مثل الوطن يابا 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 هو في مثل الوطن يابا هو في مثله أموتنا في دالة رابا هو في مثله هو في مثله هو في مثله ولف الأرض وشرقي وغربي وقتل عنه والله الغربة هو في مثل الوطن يابا يا يابا
أوفا أوفا
فلسطيني حي الأحرار الشعب الفلسطيني الشعب الجبار حي الفلسطيني حي الأحرار الشعب الفلسطيني الشعب الجبار الله الله عليهم عبوا الساحات والكوفية بيديهم علت رايات الله عليهم عبوا الساحات والكوفية بيديهم علت رايات هيهم 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 وفلسطين الأبية احنا دار فلسطيني حي الأحرار الشعب الفلسطيني الشعب الجبار حمو الكف حمو ويا حباب التمام حمو الكف حمو ويا حباب التمام هالفلسطيني القدس بدمه وبالعالم كله لا ما في مثله بالعالم كله لا ما في مثله للفلسطين دكوا شي الله هو الله الله عليهم عبوا السحاب بيديهم على الرايات هيهم 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 وطلوا ما احنا ضلتهم ضلوا الكبار فلسطيني حي الأحرار الشعب الفلسطيني الشعب الجبار
Assalamu alaikum again, guys. Hoping everyone's taking their seats, starting to see the front rows fill up. For everyone to just take their seats, we are indeed about to start the show.
So, for our first performance, we have a talented, a very, very talented young man who's going to come up now.
He is an 8-year-old. He is living here in Bristol, but he's from Ramallah in Palestine. And he is an extremely talented pianist. Everyone, I'd really love for you to make some noise for Rayyan Al-Houri.
Hello. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أنا اسمي ريان، عمري 8 سنوات. أنا من فلسطين بس أنا أعيش في بريطانيا. اليوم سأعزف لكم موطني للشاعر الفلسطيني إبراهيم طوقان. أتمنى أن تستمتعوا. Hello, my name is Ryan. I'm 8 years old. I'm from Palestine, but I live in England. Today I'm gonna play Motani for the Palestinian poet Ibrahim Touqan. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Thank you.
Wasn't that amazing? That was so talented, Amjad. Thank you so much, Rayan. So proud of him, mashallah. His parents must be so proud as well. Okay, up next, ladies and gentlemen, we have a brief video by our lovely organization, and that is the Palestinian Forum of Britain. So make some noise for Palestinian Forum of Britain.
In the 1970s, a group of Palestinian students in Britain started activism work for the Palestinian cause. Their initial efforts, which included educational leaflets, activities, and events, eventually led to the emergence of an umbrella organisation, the Palestinian Forum in Britain. Within Britain, the PFB started steadily building its presence amongst the Palestinian and Arab community, as well as through general solidarity groups, and eventually, the PFB held its inaugural annual Palestine Day in 2004. This day, which was used to symbolise the heritage of Palestine and Palestinian traditions, eventually developed into the Palestine Festival in 2018. The PFB presents programmes for Palestinian children to link them to their cause and their occupied country, as well as to organise political and educational seminars for adults, with social and heritage activities for families.
Thank you for your great and influential contribution in this important battle against the occupation.
The PFB also presents a programme directed at Palestinian youth that focuses on awareness and education about different aspects of the Palestinian cause, while also encouraging voluntary work for Palestine and its people who are besieged in Gaza, Jerusalem, the West Bank, and those who are displaced inside and outside Palestine, as well as those who refused to emigrate. It is worth noting that as part of these efforts, the PFB works in tandem with several of the most impactful UK-based pro-Palestine solidarity organisations. These include the Palestine Solidarity Campaign, Friends of Al-Aqsa, Stop the War Coalition, the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament, as well as several other Palestinian and Arab community organisations. It conducts its work with the expressed objective of enhancing the presence of the Palestinian cause in the British community. As a direct consequence of Israel's illegal occupation. Within the organisation itself, the PFB works diligently to accommodate the various energies wishing to work for Palestine within its various departments and committees, whether in political, social and public relations, or women, youth and students departments, as well as public activities and heritage.
I want everyone's energy. I don't care if you're tired. I don't care if you're hot. I don't care if you're sweating. You know why? Because the people in Palestine are still sweating. They're still fighting. Let me hear your voices.
The organisation also plays a critical role in assisting the organisation of massive solidarity demonstrations and events across Britain, which aim to mobilise the British public towards solidarity, towards Palestinian rights and the Palestinian cause in the UK. In a nutshell, the PFB aims to champion rights for those who face the oppression of the Israeli occupation. The efforts of the organisation are geared towards supporting the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people and their endeavours to liberate their homeland, the right of return, the release of Palestinian prisoners, and the restoration of the occupied Jerusalem as the capital of Palestine.
Say ho! The sanitation has to go! All right now, free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free!
Wow, that was brilliant. Thank you so much to the organizing Palestinian Forum of Britain. Woo! Amazing stuff. All right, and that leads us on very swiftly to our very important next segment.
So the next segment will be a speech from our very own Mr. Zahir Barawi, who will be presenting a short speech. Director of PFP.
The light is yours.
Please join us in welcoming Mr. Zahir Barawi to the stage.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, dear honorable guests, dear brothers, sisters, and friends, it gives me great pleasure to greet you all on behalf of the Palestinian Forum in Britain and to welcome you to this special event. We are sincerely grateful for your presence here today. And we are very proud of you all. And we are very grateful for your continued support towards our Palestinian people in their struggle to liberate their land from the Zionist settler occupation. An occupation which contravenes international law, norms, and consensus. We thank you for attending this annual Palestine Festival, which the PFP has now held for 16 consecutive years. For those of you who join us for the first time, the annual Palestine Festival is a cultural, artistic, heritage, and political event that the Forum has sought to organize annually since its inception. The aim of this annual event is to achieve essential goals, the most important of which are to connect the new Palestinian generations to their identity and heritage, and to strengthen our relations with the friends of Palestine from amongst the British society, as well as the Arab and Muslim communities in the UK. We aim to achieve these goals through extending the cultural dabka songs, traditional foods, and other beautiful expressions of the Palestinian culture and heritage, which will be presented to you throughout the day. It is worth saying that this festival is not only cultural, but unapologetically political in nature. We hope that by hosting this event, we can contribute to strengthening the Palestinian narrative of the struggle in our homeland and push back against the misinformation propagated by the Israeli occupation and its supporters here in this country. The first political message this festival is determined to get across is that while the Palestinian community in the UK are firmly part of the social fabric of the country, but we also remain Palestinians who dream of the right to return to our homes from which we were displaced, who maintain our cause alive in our minds and hearts, and who continue to share the suffering of our people living under illegal occupation until the day our homes and lands are liberated. The second message of this huge festival is for the Israeli government and the pro-Israel lobby here in the UK. This occupation and injustice will end, no doubt. the occupying state will never enjoy the fruits of stability and peace unless the illegal occupation ends and the rights of Palestinians, including their right to return to their homeland and to the towns from which they were forcibly displaced, are instated. Dear guests, this annual festival takes place at a time when the world is worryingly silent amid the cries of our oppressed people living under a racist illegal occupation, and in the face of the continued attacks against Palestinian rights. The festival comes at a time where we witness continuous attempts to silence Palestinians and their supporters here in the UK through various means. But we say to everyone, here and everywhere across the world, that we have absolute, indivisible human rights for reclaiming our freedom and justice within our Palestinian state and on our national soil. No one, not the Israeli government, nor its apologists, will be able to silence us or stop us from demanding our rights and working for the freedom of our people and our land. We will not remain silent about our rights, and we will never relinquish our demands so long as we have beating hearts. We will continue to struggle for the freedom of our people and our homeland generation after generation, until the glorious day comes when we raise the Palestinian flag on the walls of Jerusalem and on Al-Aqsa Mosque and in all our cities and towns throughout Palestine. Brothers, sisters, friends, I repeat my heartfelt greetings to all of you, and please allow me to extend our appreciation to the honorable guests of the festival. First and foremost, our dear friend, a man of strong positions and a principled politician who never abandoned his values despite the horrendous smear campaigns against him. Please give a huge welcome to the former leader of the British Labour Party and the longest-standing friend of Palestine, Mr. Jeremy Corbyn. I also welcome the great artists from Beit Jala, from south of Jerusalem, the artist Tony Kattan, and the traditional Dabka bands, the Yafa band from Yafa, Al Fursan Dabka group, and Al Yasmin Sham band from London, and I welcome all the exhibitors and the participants. I also extend my sincere thanks to the Popular Activities Department within the PFP, led by Brother Adnan Ahmedan, and all the other forum sections, including the amazing team of volunteers who worked tirelessly to organize this festival and make it a success, presenting it to you in a distinguished way that takes you to Palestine, its heritage, its traditional dishes, its songs, its embroideries, its fragrant olive oil, its thyme, and its sage, to provide you with a taste of its rich culture. Finally, we send a message of pride to our people in all their places of existence, especially in the occupied territories, in the West Bank, in Gaza Strip, in Jerusalem, the eternal capital of Palestine, as well as in the green line, where they suffer daily from the racism and apartheid policies of the state of Israel. We also salute the prisoners of freedom in the occupation's prisons. We pledge to all our people across the occupied land that we shall remain loyal to them and to never stop working to support their steadfastness, carry their flag, promote their rightful stand within this struggle, expose the crimes of their enemy, and delegitimize their occupier until the international supply cord is cut off from the occupation state and the Israeli apartheid regime, and until the rights of freedom and justice return to our Palestinian people, and we all celebrate the day of victory and liberation, inshallah. And in conclusion, allow me to say a few words in Arabic to our people in Palestine. Just 1 minute. يا أهلنا في فلسطين المحتلة، نبعث لكم من هنا من قلب لندن برسالة الاعتزاز والفخر في كل أماكن تواجدكم، في الضفة الغربية، في غزة الصمود، وفي القدس عاصمة فلسطين الأبدية، وكذلك في الخط الأخضر حيث المعاناة اليومية من عنصرية الاحتلال. كما نبعث بالتحية لأسرى الحرية القابعين في سجون الاحتلال، ونعاهدكم يا أهلنا في الأراضي المحتلة على الوفاء لكم والاستمرار في العمل لدعم صمودكم وحمل رايتكم وترويج روايتكم الصحيحة للصراع وكشف جرائم عدوكم ونزع شرعية محتلكم. وسنبقى بإذن الله على العهد حتى ينقطع حبل المدد الغربي عن دولة الاحتلال ونظام الفصل العنصري الإسرائيلي، وينتهي الاحتلال ويعود الحق لأصحابه، ونفرح جميعا بيوم النصر والتحرير بإذن الله، ويقولون متى هو؟ قل عسى أن يكون قريبا. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zahid Birawi. Make some noise for the leader of Palestinian Forum of Britain. Mr. Zahid Birawi, thank you so much.
Such a heartfelt speech.
Indeed it was. Okay, and as Mr. Zahid already introduced, we have one of our most honorable guests of the evening. He really needs no introduction, but we love him. Go Jeremy Corbyn. Go Jeremy Corbyn. Go Jeremy Corbyn. Thank you so much.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very, very much, everyone, for inviting me here today. And thank you to the Byron Hall for having the Palestine Festival here today. It is an incredible and fantastic event, and it brings the entire community together. And I think that's something we can all be pleased and very, very proud of, because the Palestinian people have suffered like no other, in that they've been under occupation now for many decades, and many are living in refugee camps ever since 1948 in different countries around the region, but particularly in Lebanon. And I think it's important to recognize that there is an entity known as Palestine. There is a state of Palestine, and I was proud to present a manifesto in the election 2 years ago to the British people, which included unconditional recognition of the state of Palestine. And I'm pleased to say that there are many people in the Labour Party that support that, and indeed the more recent Labour Party conference supported that. But it's a question of solidarity around the world. And as events unfold in Palestine, with once again an increase in the levels of occupation and of settlements, and even this weekend, a family that are now in their third generation living in Sheikh Jarrah, being removed under some spurious legal grounds from their own homes, where 3 generations of one family have been born, brought up, and lived. And the increase in settlements all across the West Bank, with settler-only roads, with land being taken, with water being taken from farmers, and the annual struggle not to harvest the dates, but also to be able to market the dates and all the other wonderful products that come from Palestine. The rest of the world must surely understand that living under occupation, be it in Gaza or the West Bank, does things to people's mentality, to their health, to their mental health. And it's got to end. It's got to end. If we want peace, as we all do, in the Middle East, then that peace comes with justice for the Palestinian people as the prerequisite for it. So that leads you on then to the question of the nature of occupation. Because the occupation of Palestine has gone on for so long, it's taken almost as a norm around the world. And when people ask me, say, well, what's it like? What does it mean? I say, what it means is this. I live in my constituency in Islington North. I live in Finsbury Park. Many people must know the area. And if I wanted to go to Archway, which is a couple of 3 kilometers away, if I was living on the West Bank, I would probably have to go through 1 or 2 checkpoints just to get to a friend's house a short distance away. If one's a visitor to the West Bank, it's annoying, it's irritating, but it's something you're there for a couple of weeks on a visit you can cope with. But when it's every single day, as you try to go to work, as you try to go to school, as you try to go to college, as you try to market your crops from your farm, you're then held up by checkpoint after checkpoint, then it becomes damaging to your way of life and your very existence. And so, what is it with the rest of the world that they seem to think there's something wrong with being critical of Israel's policy on the occupation of the West Bank and of the siege of Gaza? And so it's important that we assert the cultural identity, the history and the rights of Palestinian people, and also recognize that despite what the US and British governments say, most countries around the world do recognize Palestine, do oppose the occupation, do oppose the settlements, and want to see proper rights for all of the Palestinian people, recognized at the UN and recognized everywhere else. But recently, there's been the agreements made, the accords that have been made with various countries in the whole Mediterranean, Eastern Mediterranean region, such as Morocco, such as the UAE. Well, everybody wants to have good relations with every other country and their neighbors. But if that good neighborly relationship comes at the expense of people who are themselves under occupation, one has to say that it is completely wrong, which is why I think it's important to support the campaign for sanctions against the products that come from the illegal occupation of the West Bank, from the settlements, and from the factories and others that produce in those places. And likewise, the arms sales that go to Israel that have been used for the bombardment of Gaza and are used to maintain the occupation of the West Bank have to come to an end. Now, over the past 2 years, the world has not been the same for any of us. It's not been the same because of COVID, because of restrictions, because of lockdown, and it's meant that people have only been able to communicate with each other by computer, online, and by Zoom. Very frustrating, very irritating as that is. But it's important that it's also opened up to many the possibilities of good and serious discussions. And it's given some people a voice they wouldn't otherwise have had. I've had quite a few meetings with people in Ramallah, with people in Nablus, with people in Gaza City, with people all over Palestine, with people from human rights groups, albeit fairly small, but human rights groups in Israel who also want to see their own security improved by ending the occupation and ending the siege and all being able to live in the region of which they were all born. Surely, if we can talk to each other by Zoom and link, then governments can talk to each other by the same way, and we can end the occupation of Palestine once and for all by our economic power as well as our political influence. The other thing I'd just like to say is this, two other things really. One is about refugees. I have visited many refugee camps in many places in my life, and there are now approximately 70 million people across this world who are refugees. Nobody ever chooses to be a refugee. Nobody ever wants to leave their home, their community, their family, their place of birth, possibly never to return. They don't do it for fun. They do it out of desperation because they can't live, they can't express themselves, they're in danger of imprisonment, they're in danger of attack, they're in danger because of their beliefs, their religion, and they seek safety somewhere else. And when Nakba came, Palestinians sought safety elsewhere. They went to Gaza, they went to Lebanon, they went to many other places all around the Eastern Mediterranean countries. And they're still there. They're still there in refugee camps in Jordan and in Lebanon. And I find it almost unbelievable to visit those camps and talk to people whose grandparents, or in some cases great-grandparents, came to those camps in 1948, and they still want to be able to go home. And so in any settlement, I think two things must happen. One is the right of return, but also the voice of the Palestinian diaspora all around the world, in the refugee camps, in Latin America, in Canada, in the USA, in Europe, and here in this country, must be heard and must be organized as well. And I thought it was fantastic that in the big demonstrations, the biggest demonstrations in solidarity with the people of Palestine were here in Britain, in London. I was proud of that because of the work of the Palestinian Forum, because of the work of Palestine Solidarity Campaign and so many others. We've changed the political debate and narrative surrounding Palestine. So well done, everyone that made it to those demonstrations and made their voice heard so effectively and loudly. Palestine takes its place amongst the peoples of the world, the cultures of the world, the languages of the world, the literature of the world, the artistry of the world. And Palestine was there at the COP26 conference in Glasgow. I was there also with various community and solidarity groups. And we all want clean air. We all want clean water. We all want our children to be able to grow up eating good food, but also living on a planet that doesn't destroy itself. The Palestinian people want the same. But when you have no spare parts and you have no fuel for your sewage treatment works, then what happens? Pollution in the sea, pollution in the ground, pollution in the rivers. What happens when you don't have the technology to be able to process things, recycle things, refurbish things, and reuse things? You get more scrap, more waste, and more rubbish. the occupation and the sanctions against the Palestinian people damage the life chances and life-giving things like clean air and clean water, just like they would anywhere else in the world. I want clean air, clean water, and good food for everybody, including the children of Palestine and the people of Palestine. And so you then ask yourself, what can we do about it? Well, we do what we're doing, but we do it even more intensely. We do it through solidarity with peoples around the world, with that fundamental demand for human rights that's there in the 1948 United Nations Convention, that's there in the European Convention of Human Rights. And if you respect international law, as one would expect every government to do so, then you ask yourself some questions. If the Israeli government has been found to be in breach of the Geneva Accords on so many occasions over imprisonment of children, over occupation, over damage to cultural heritage and property, over denial of the rights of healthcare, and over the bombing of civilians, then you ask yourself the question, why isn't more action being taken against the Israeli government? That is why I think it's important that the economic power is used to try to end the occupation of Palestine. The last thing I'd say is this. We see a rise of racism around the world. We see a rise of the far right around the world, where they say to working class communities, you know what your problem is? Your poverty is caused by another poor person who just happens to be of a different nationality, a different color, different language, different background. So you need to turn against them the more that we can further exploit both of your communities. The only answer to the far right and the racists is of solidarity and opposition to every conceivable form of racism. So I stand here in front of you saying the evils of racism are anti-Semitism, are Islamophobia, are far-right racism, are a denial of the history of the black community. Racism thrives on ignorance. Racism is used to divide. We, as peoples, oppose racism in every form and stand for the liberation of all peoples, which means freedom for the people of Palestine to live their lives in their land without it being stolen, without it being under occupation, without it being polluted. And the Palestinian culture and joy, which we're experiencing here this afternoon in the Byron halls, can be there for all the world to see. Some of the greatest experiences of my life have been meeting Palestinian people in all parts. I look forward to doing that again and campaigning with all of you to end the occupation and end the injustice towards the Palestinian people. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Words cannot express the power in your voice and all of the things that you've been doing, all the importance that you've been doing for us Palestinians and the plethora of the Palestinians. So thank you very much. So give one more round of applause to Jeremy. Woo! Woo! So now we have the great honor of officially recognizing an esteemed group of personalities and institutions who have demonstrated in recent times great courage and diligence while serving the Palestinian cause here in Britain.
As we honor their efforts, we express our thanks and gratitude to them on behalf of the Palestinian Forum of Britain and behalf of all Palestinians. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, our program unfortunately doesn't have the capacity to mention the plethora of work serving the work and people serving the Palestinian cause that have been carried out by our honorees.
As such, for each person recognized by the Palestinian Forum Britain, you'll see a few sentences on the screen summarizing the names of the individuals' fantastic achievements. We kindly ask those receiving the award to come directly to the stage now, please, whilst your name is being mentioned.
So as our honorable guests who have worked very, very hard for our cause and who have helped out so much, as they come up to the stage, please show massive appreciation and gratitude and a massive round of applause for them. So we'll get started.
So each person will be presented with an award which will be handed over to them by our forum chair, Zahir Barawi, Mr. Zahir Barawi.
And with obviously our lovely guest, Jeremy Corbyn as well. So without further ado.
So as we begin to put the plaques on the stage, I will start by calling the names up. Firstly, we have Jessica Bernard, who is the chair of Young Labour, who has sent Jawad Khan on her behalf to accept the award. So please, Jawad, after you.
Jawad Khan, everyone.
Woo!
My great friend here is receiving this award on behalf of Young Labour, which is fantastic. The chair of Young Labour, Jess Barnard, is in Brazil at the moment, meeting Lula, hopefully to be the next president of Brazil. And I know that Lula is and always will be a friend of the Palestinian people. Well done, Jess, and well done, Young Labour.
It's an honour to accept this award on behalf of Young Labour. We moved our motion at Labour Party conference a couple of months ago, and we wanted to make three things clear in our motion. The first is that we categorically state that what Israel is doing in the occupied territories is apartheid. The second was a commitment to sanctions, and the third was to express our support of the Palestinian people to return to their homeland. So thank you very much, everyone. Young Labour is honoured to accept this award.
Next, we have the next award that we're giving to you. So please, as I said, when you hear your name, please do come to the stage. The next award goes to Raghadat Takriti, President of the Muslim Association of Britain. I invite you to the stage.
As she's making her way up to the stage, can we have another round of applause for the President of the Muslim Association of Britain, Raghadat Takriti.
It's an honor being here on the stage. Right, it's an honor to be between great people, Jeremy on my right and Zahir Barawi on my left. We are honored in the Muslim Association of Britain to always stand by the just causes, and we always work hand in hand with the people of Palestine. We were honored to be part of a coalition mobilizing around 150,000 on a weekend, and the following weekend, 200,000 people walking for Palestine. We will continue to work for it, and we continue to work against racist policies. Tomorrow, we have a protest outside Downing Street against the Nationality and Borders Bill, so join us if you want. That's another racist bill that is going to impose restrictions on all those working for just causes. Thank you very much for this honorable award.
Thank you. Okay, our next award, unfortunately, she couldn't make it today, but it's to the chair of the Trades Union Congress, Shelley Asquith, dear friend of mine. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it today, but please can we show her some appreciation? Shelley Asquith, everyone.
And the next award goes to a group who has worked relentlessly with students, with external organizations to bring the Palestinian movement forward and to push the agenda. So can the representative for Jewish Voice for Labour please come up to the stage? Please give a round of applause. I'm not sure. I think that's what I'm like.
Okay, unfortunately, I don't think they're here yet, so we'll have to move on swiftly to the next one. If they are around, please do come up to the stage. Okay, our next award goes to the member representing the Palestine Deep Dive, and that's Mark Seddon. Make some noise for Mark Seddon, everyone. Lovely, thank you.
Hi there. Unfortunately, Mark Seddon couldn't be here today. My name's Alex Bustos. I'm the Assistant Director, Palestine Deep Dive. And I just wanted to say thank you for this. At a time when Palestinian voices are being silenced, it's important more than ever that we lift their voices to speak. That's what we're committed to do. And I just want to say thank you again for this, and thank you to all the organizers. Thank you.
And of course, a member of our cause who really has worked hard and endless for our cause and helped us every step of the way, a man who really deserves more than any of the appreciation that we give him. We'd love to present this award to our dear friend, Mr. Jeremy Corbyn.
No, well, it's fine. You did absolutely fine. Well done. You're the one.
All right, thank you so much. Can we have one more round of applause for all our lovely guests and the lovely awards they've received? Thank you so much. That's not the end of the program. That sounded like a bit of a dramatic end. I do apologize. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. One last round of applause. They're going off. Thank you.
Please do stay tuned. We have an exciting program coming to you. So please stay seated and we'll kind of move on with the next segment of our program.
I think we do have a little break right now, so we'll just make sure of that. Mingle amongst yourselves and have a little chat, and we'll be back soon with more proper information.
ناديني الله محيي فلسطين والشعب الفلسطيني ناديني ناديني هو الله محيي فلسطين والشعب الفلسطيني جنة والله هي والله جنة حيفا للكرم المينا وعكاس وروح امينة حيفا للكرم المينا وعكاس وروح امينة وعروس البحر يافا
So quickly, everyone, we're back. Just to kind of update you, you have until 6 p.m. to return to your seats for our next segment of the show. So please feel free to walk around the hall, try our different, Palestinian foods, and see our different kind of cultural aspects of the tour. So enjoy.
All right, thank you guys. That's going to be 6 p.m. sharp, and we've got a massive, epic lineup for you. So please do come back and take your seats again at 6 p.m. See you there. Woo! Bye. Yeah? Nice.
سجل واشهد يا عالم على عزتنا بغزة هاشم سجل واشهد يا عالم على عزتنا بغزة هاشم واشهد عابر السبع حي ربع العزايم والنور بأرض الخالي ضوع جبال الجليل والنور بأرض الخالي ضوع جبال الجليل وهب الهوى من جنين نسمات تشفي العالي حيوا قلقل يا ناس حيوا سلفي طوباس حيوا قلقل يا ناس حيوا سلفي كانوا إن الفحم والله وعلى عين وعلى الرأس، يا محلاها طبرية نسمة هواها صفدية، يا محلاها طبرية نسمة هواها صفدية، ولعيونك يا الناصرة علينا هالكوفية. أجمل تحية للقدس الأبية، للعاصمة الأبدية الفلسطينية، وأجمل تحية للقدس الأبية، للعاصمة الأبدية الفلسطينية. ردوا أجمل تحية للقدس الأبية، العاصمة الأبدية الفلسطينية. أجمل تحية للقدس الأبية، للعاصمة الأبدية الفلسطينية، وأجمل تحية للقدس الأبية، للعاصمة الأبدية الفلسطينية. ردوا أجمل تحية للقدس الأبية، العاصمة الأبدية الفلسطينية.
سب العيون ومديدو يحنون، غزال صغير بالمنديل يلفونه. سب العيون ومديدو يحنون، غزال صغير بالمنديل يلفونه. وش هالغزال الذي عن دارنا ماري، خسروا رجاي